So hi guys, my name is Mahanur Rashid. I'm a student at UIC and I'm part of the 3Rs project. I use she, her pronouns and I'm a South Asian. I have long dark hair and I'm wearing a brown t-shirt. And Mustafa, can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Mustafa Rafat. I am a second-year PhD student in social work at Washington University in St. Louis. I am a male, cisgender, early mid-age, wearing glasses, have a short black hair, and wearing a shirt that has white, black, and red lines.
Thank you. So now we'll begin with the questions. The first question is, can you describe your experiences with resettlement in the US as a refugee with disabilities?
Yes, I remember I came with a couple other refugees. So the agency that accepted us, I noticed that they were well prepared to welcome refugees without disabilities. That means they had the list of things that they can do for them, applying for jobs, giving them resources, guiding them. And when it's come to me, because I'm a refugee with disabilities, so there was that confusion, like, what can we do with you? There was a lack of understanding, lack of, they couldn't understand how to connect me with resources. That they were end up doing were based on the deficit model, like, okay, we'll just put you on welfare, you'll stay on welfare. Like when I asked for, like, I want to go back to school, I want to go back to college and things like that, it did not view it as a positive. They were like skeptical. They were like, oh, we don't think you can do it. It wasn't like empowering. It wasn't that welcoming, I felt.
According to you, what are some of the immediate needs for refugees with disabilities after resettlement?
I mean, I would say it's important that we recognize refugees with disabilities have a multidimensional needs, including health, including economic, including education, including social integration. But if I were to choose one, I would say health is a most immediate need. I remember when I came here, I didn't have medications, I didn't have medical records. I was in a lot of pain. I couldn't walk. I needed a lot of medical attention. And that included physical and mental health needs.
What are some of the long-term needs? I know healthcare is one of them, but are there anything else that you would have liked when you came into the country?
Absolutely. I think as an early career scholar, as someone who's interested in doing research in this area, I would say we need to move away from deficit model, from moving away from seeing refugees with disabilities as a burden. We need to see how they can contribute to society. And most importantly, this can be done through sustainable path where we provide them the resources they need in that early period, put them on a path to success. We need to recognize the diverse passion and diverse interests that refugees with disabilities have, including, some refugees might want to open small business. Some refugees want to gain some technical skills and join the labor market, immediately. Like some refugees with disabilities might have long-term goals, like myself, who wants to invest in bachelor's and master's and get a PhD. We are seeing some European countries like recognizing that investing in early period will pay off later on, instead of what the system we have in the US, like if you are not employable immediately, then you are not employable later. I think that's not adding any values to our society, and it's not helping and empowering refugees with disabilities to integrate to their communities.
What advocacy efforts are needed to promote the rights of refugees with disabilities after resettlement?
I want to go back to the idea that nothing about us without us. We need to recognize the participation of refugees with disabilities in any advocacy effort, any agency or organizations like human rights, or like legal aids or like disability advocacy groups. First, understand and know that we exist, refugees with disabilities, and hear our voices, hear our needs, hear the unique challenges we face when we first resettle in the US, the policies we have, especially for helping the most vulnerable, like people with disabilities. These policies are not inclusive, but this can only be done when we have a participation, when these agencies, these leaders, these policymakers can include us, can hear our voices.
And what was like the biggest challenge you faced when you first came in the US?
Every dimension had its own challenges, like when accessing healthcare, especially in the early, like the first year, you don't have proper health insurance. That meant I'm not getting to see the doctors on time. I'm not getting my medications on time. Like they don't know, there's the lack of understanding about what is refugees, what is immigrants, what is asylum seekers. That is one thing. Like when accessing education, the university that I applied to did not recognize that I'm coming from a very disadvantaged background. I have language problems. I have like different needs because of my background. I did not know any like services available for me. So that meant I'm like, staying disadvantaged, staying like excluded. Every dementia, like education, employment, health, social integration, all of these things had unique challenges.
And for the last question, what practice recommendations do you have for service providers that work with resettled refugees?
The reality is that not every providers have experience in like effectively helping refugees, especially refugees with disabilities. These people, deserve to be respected. Empowerment is so important. Using kind words, asking questions, don't not being shy, don't ever assume anything. We are willing to share, to guide, to help. We recognize that, they don't teach like providers everything in a school. So we learn with practice, we learn with asking questions, and never underestimating the refugees with disabilities potential in doing things. And it's important to pay attention to the most vulnerable group among refugees with disabilities, like children with disabilities, women with disabilities, LGBTQ communities. So these are people that have more challenges, that have more barriers. Just being aware of the cultural and bureaucratic challenges that we face. Like making sure that your service is more welcoming, having these, I don't know, like flyers with different languages. You have language access plans. When a refugee with disabilities wants to access your services, you can immediately respond, provide interpretation. And the employees are kind of like getting constantly trained in like being more sensitive toward different cultures.